Detroit Lions. They got bounced unceremoniously from the playoffs by the Commanders and your guy, Jaden Daniels. So then they lose both offensive coordinator Ben Johnson and DC Aaron Glenn. Everybody's concerned about a pullback. Well, Aiden Hutchinson is in the midst of his rehab following that broken leg this season and believes that losing both coordinators will not have much of an impact.
I don't care who they bring in to coach us. Obviously, keeping Dan there is what we all want, but coordinators, position coaches, it doesn't matter. It's as long as we have the right guys in the locker room and those foundation guys on offense, on defense, you can roll anyone in there to call the plays. And at the end of the day, it's going to be the playmakers who are making those plays on Sundays. So that's as long as we keep our core group, and keep everyone there, we're gonna stay in this window of winning.
The Philadelphia Eagles are a great example. That is not true at all. There is a big gap between the best pilots in the sky today and the worst. The Philadelphia Eagles lost Shane Steichen. They hired an OC that was over his head, and they went on didn't they lose the last 10 weeks?
They started 10-1, but then cratered at the end.
Yeah, I got news for you. In baseball, a manager can win 4 games, maybe 6 over the course of a season. In the NBA, it's hard to screw up LeBron in his prime, or Magic or Bird in his prime. In football, Brandon Staley and Jim Harbaugh, same roster defensively, worst to second best. Football is the coaching sport.
I don't like this take from Hutchinson at all.
I think
a smart guy who's such a great player. What? Coaching doesn't matter. We get to keep Dan Campbell. Who cares about Ben Johnson?
Well, and Dan's not a scheme guy. Dan is really known as a culture guy.
He's a rah-rah guy.
And nothing wrong with that.
No.
I was wrong on Dan Campbell. I never thought, but he deserves all the credit in the world.
Sure.
But he's not Andy Reid. He's not McVay. He's not a scheme guy. He's a culture guy. So the Lions are going to be more dependent on scheme assistance than the Rams would be, than Andy Reid would be.
Yeah. Let's talk about this. I'm trying to figure out why Aiden Hutchinson would say that, and it could be a couple reasons why. It could be just his immaturity, and I don't mean that in the sense of immaturity of you're mature, you fart jokes and stuff. I mean immaturity in terms of he needs to mature in his understanding of what it truly takes to win at the highest level. Because you ask Patrick Mahomes, how long, will the Kansas City Chiefs be great? And his answer is, this is what he says, as long as Andy Reid's there. That's his answer. And that's obviously someone who truly understands the importance of coaching. He has the maturity, the experience, et cetera, et cetera. And I love Aiden Hutchinson. I almost cried when he got injured. I was just gutted for him big time because I think he's awesome. And the other way how I look at this is, now again I'm going to use the word immaturity, and again it might not be the right way. Maybe inexperience might be the better word. And it's just his inexperience with the media and talking and knowing what to say. He's on a podcast with the dude from Twilight or something. I don't even know what that is, and that might be his way of trying to be a leader of the team, to be hey, it doesn't matter, we're not going to start to feel bad that we lost Ben Johnson and company, we're still going to be great, our team is so great, you can bring anyone in here, and it's just and I get that as well, but it's you got to have a balanced take on it. And you have some players that really just don't believe that coaching is that much of an impact. And those players are confused. Again, the greatest winners in the history of the sport. Let's just use the current winner, Patrick Mahomes, and Tom Brady. They both just talk about, how Bill Belichick was absolutely crucial to Tom Brady's, success and growth as a quarterback. So, with the right guys in the locker room, you can roll anyone in to call plays. That's just false. It's false for just so many reasons, and I actually really do just find something like that surprising. And I'm okay because he's a younger player in the NFL, which is totally fair. That's totally fair. You got to learn, you got to grow, you got to evolve. So it's like I totally give him the room to do that, to be that. But then I'm also kind of giving the room to also just mess up an interview, to misspeak, because again, like that's not his expertise. His expertise is to not be able to say all the right things on a podcast. That's just his expertise is to knock the head off of a quarterback. And so I'm also open to that as well. But because it's like, because he is such a smart guy. He is such a baller. He has been around long enough, relatively speaking. Maybe not as much in the NFL, but throughout his actual football playing career, that I would think that he would have a little bit of a more nuanced answer, like, I could see maybe answering the question in a way where it's just like, hey, this team is so great. We are so connected. We are such a family. Obviously we're going to miss, coaches like Ben Johnson and whatnot. But, I think we are firing at all cylinders so much that I think any coaches that we get brought into this team right now, we're just going to be able to connect in such a way. And then if you want to compliment maybe some of the guys, like, hey, man, Jared Goff's so good. I'm pretty sure I could be calling play. We can get a fan off the street, and be calling plays. Like, I don't know, if you do it like in a more humorous way where Ben Johnson even understands, like, yeah, I get what he's doing. But like this, I don't know, this landed weird. This landed weird. Maybe there's more to the clip. I'm not going to go off and listen to the clip. If you guys know that there's more to the clip that maybe he kind of explains a little bit more. But like I said, he's on a podcast with the dude from, Jacob Henry. I honestly don't even know what his name is. Mike, Taylor Lautner from Twilight or whatever. I don't know. Sometimes also when you're a player like that and you're on a podcast, you want to kind of put on a big show and be like, hey man, we're so good, doesn't matter what happens. Like you just come with like a little bit more confidence, a little bit more alpha, a little bit more bravado. But I would say majority of players understand the importance of coaching, especially the ones who are winning and win at the highest level, which is why I really find this surprising. But that's why I'm kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt, because I think it came from a good place, albeit potentially a little a little bit of confusion, or just a misstep in the conversation. Because also then what does that say about the coaches that you've had with the Lions? Like then you're pretty much saying that they didn't have much of an impact, and that's like, you don't want to do that to your old coaches either. It's kind of like, some of the coaches that I've had, if I just said, yeah, it really had nothing to do with you, any coach could have, did this. Like that's like insulting to then the coaches who I've had. So it's a weird answer. I know a lot of Detroit Lions fans are going to maybe potentially push back on me saying this and being like, what do you know? You know more than Aiden. And I'm going to be like, you know what? Maybe in this experience I do, because I'm older and I've been around longer than him. So yeah. He knows way more what it's like to be an NFL athlete than I ever will. But I mean, this is a weird answer that I'm confident that the vast majority of NFL athletes themselves, both current and retired, would completely disagree with him. And if Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes and Peyton Manning and, just insert all these other great, quarterbacks and teams and etc., if they're going to disagree, then you know what, who am I? If this was Tom Brady, then I would make me rethink my thoughts. If Tom Brady was like, at the end of the day, a coach doesn't matter, I'd be like, all right, I have to think about this. Is Tom Brady trying to like also feel himself up a little bit too much? Is he kind of feeling himself a little too much? Does he think he's kind of, a little bit too cool for school? Is he trying to put on like, I'd have to think about it. And if I reached the conclusion that he was being like honest and this was his genuine opinion, I'd be like, this is interesting. I kind of want to seek the opinion now of Peyton Manning, of Drew Brees, of Andy Reid, Bill Belichick. I want to kind of get the coach's side. Like I'd want to get the complete side. But it's just overwhelmingly obvious to me, which is why this stands out so much. And Aiden Hutchinson is not a guy who just is like, where you're kind of like, oh, what are you talking about, bro? Like, stop. Like he's the opposite of that guy, which is why I'm like, I can't wrap my head around it a little bit, which is why I kind of blame the fact that he's on a podcast with like, an actor and his wife or sister, or I don't even know, from a teen book movie series thing. So I don't know. Just you know, I don't know, man. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Aiden Hutchinson saying that? You know, if you're a Detroit Lions fan, how does that land for you? You know, let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.